since we have the values in front of us, I thought maybe we could just have like a 5 or 6 minute conversation about them. I'll start with just my favorite one. Is the well, my favorite one got swallowed up into another one, but I suppose my second favorite then would be the passionate commitment, the fierce, fabulous, and passionate. Mm-hmm. And I think one of the reasons why I like it is because it's so representative of the things that I think of when I think of pride. And I think of pride being unapologetic. I think of pride as being fierce in terms of an adjective. I think of it as being ready and willing to stand up for yourself, but also to stand up for people who can't. And there's this song lyric from Dow and the Get Down, Stay Down that it reminds me of, and it's, we splash our eyes full of chemicals so there's not enough for little girls. And it reminds me of so many people in our community who just go all the way in because of their experience coming up, their experience being raised in a world that shamed them and said that you're not good enough. And how, to a number, the people that we work with so often want to protect our young people from those kinds of feelings. And the idea of being fierce, fabulous, and passionate really connects with me there.
I love it. When I read that, I almost said fierce, fabulous, and passionate, and I didn't. I resisted.
Yeah. I think that's my favorite one as well, honestly. Because I don't know, it's just the heart of us. It's the heart of this organization that we are passionately committed to this work. Yeah.
I also love that one. I love the not rooted in fear part. Mm-hmm. And I think that is really bold. And if I had to choose a second favorite, it would be the transformation of people, institutions, and systems. And the part that's about meeting people where they are and then encouraging them on their journey just mm-hmm. really speaks to me. And I'm so aware that we are in communication with folks who are on the front lines of the movement. And we are also in communication with folks who are just beginning to be aware that a movement exists. And to be in relationship with like both ends of that and be sometimes a translator, sometimes a connector feels so right to me and feels like that's where I personally fit. And so that's one of the reasons I feel so connected with Equality Ohio and our work, is that I think that the connection between those and the kind of helping people along the way is so valuable.
Gwen, it occurred to me that that's such a big space that you're talking about between the people who are on the front lines and the people who are like, oh my gosh, there's a movement. And yet there are so few people who work in the entirety of that space. Like there's a lot of organizations that are like toward one end or the other or like dead in the middle. And we are expansive. Like we're across that entire spectrum. And I feel like that's our goal. Like that is our passion. Is like, no, we're going to reach you all. We can do it. Come on, spread a little bit further. We can do it. We can touch you, type of thing. And that's us.
There's one that seems, they're all relevant, but there's one that seems super relevant right now. The fourth one is transformation of people, institutions, and systems. We believe individuals can evolve to affirm LGBTQ plus people when they're met where they are and encouraged on their journey. And then it follows up and it says systems and institutions must also transform. Why do you think it's important to include systems and institutions as well as individuals?
Oppression is not just an individual thing, right? If it were just about changing individual hearts and minds, then I think we might have made more progress already. But we know that the cards are kind of stacked against folks with oppressed identities, and so we have to change the way that things are operating, so that even when people think that they're doing the right thing, but they may actually, even when people's intentions are good and the outcome is not good, then the system, if the system has changed, then at least there will be better outcomes.
And systems reach more people. I mean, that's just the way it works, right? We can change individual hearts and minds. And yes, those individuals go out and they touch other lives and they change other hearts and minds. And that is there's an exponential growth there, absolutely. And systems and institutions are just much bigger and are going to touch many more people, especially at one time. So we must transform those systems if we are going to see the change at the level that we are expecting change. And I think that we are expecting big change. Incremental, small change has happened, has been happening, and we have reached our limit on it. Our appetite is full for that type of change. And so for these bigger changes, these wide sweeping, all encompassing changes, systems and institutions have to be transformed.
Absolutely.
What do you think about dignity being the first one? It's dignity. We believe in the intrinsic worth and dignity of all people.
How else can you start? I mean, why are we here? It takes the political out of it. We're not here because we believe in a political ideology or any type of ideology. Our ideology is people have dignity and it should be respected. That is our core ideology. So it's really easy to be nonpartisan when you start with, well, you're a person and we believe all people have dignity. So we are going to treat you that way. So it's pretty easy to be nonpartisan when that's your foundation.
There's go ahead, Gwen.
Oh, I was going to say, dignity really strikes me. I think the word pride, and like the reason that we have pride is about visibility, and it's about dignity. To me, is about being able to be proud of who you are and be solid in that. And so many folks in the LGBTQ community individually, but then also as a community, have been told, no, you are wrong and you need to hide who you are, or you need to hide aspects of who you are. And dignity just brings it all out in the light and says, no, you are worthy. You are a full human as you are. You don't have to be something else. You don't have to hide away. You have dignity. And it's starting from that just makes it clear that we are never going to ask anybody to not be their full selves. And that's such an important value.
I happen to know that we've been doing this planning process of changing our mission and our vision and adopting these values for a number of years now. I think you can probably trace the origin back as far as 3 or 4 years. Still, there's a lot of statements right now. There's a lot of pronouncements from brands and from organizations all over the world. But not all of them is, at your place of work or a place that you have some control over. How do you think this will let you do your job? Does this change anything, or is this something that? How do you see this changing Equality Ohio?
It would be. I would be having a different experience in this moment as an employee of Equality Ohio if we had not established these core values in January, before this moment and this movement really hit. So in this time of COVID-19 and the Black liberation movement, these core values have allowed me to be very secure in who my employer is and how I can expect my employer to act in this moment when there are so many questions and we don't know how people are acting, and people are acting in new ways and are being asked to, or, all these different, there's just so many questions in our world right now. And this provides answers to many of the questions that I would have as an employee, and then also provides answers to community members about who we are and how we are going to act in this moment and in the future.
Yeah, I'd add to that the explicit naming of equity and racial justice is so powerful because it's making the implicit explicit. And often when we are doing work in majority white spaces, there is this want from staff and from organizers and leaders within the organization to talk about racial equity issues, and knowing that we need to generally. And sometimes there's just a question of like, at what point do we do this, or how does that all fit in, or is this really okay? Is this distracting from the issue of LGBTQ equity or advocacy? And this makes it really explicit that no, you can't have one without the other. These have to be interlocked, and the oppression that we are seeking to eliminate impacts all of these groups, and we have to approach it together.